The fall of home. The command center of the Lunar Defense Station hummed with activity as Commander Vega Wright studied the massive holographic display. Her silver-gray eyes narrowed at the cluster of unknown vessels that had appeared at the edge of the solar system just hours ago. 20 years of military service had taught her to trust her instincts, and something about these visitors felt wrong. Analysis complete, Commander, Lieutenant Ramirez reported, his voice tight with concern. 17 vessels, configuration unknown. They're not responding to standard greeting protocols. Vega nodded, her dark skin contrasting with the stark white of her uniform. The neural implant at her temple pulsed blue as she interfaced directly with the station's systems. Alert Earth Defense Command, she ordered. I want all outposts on yellow alert, and get me Admiral Haskins. The communication screen flickered to life, revealing the weathered face of Admiral Jasper Haskins. Before Vega could speak, he raised a hand. I'm seeing the same data, right, he said. The Security Council is meeting now. They want to attempt diplomatic contact before we take any defensive posture. Vega bit back her objection. Politics. Always politics when action was needed. Sir, these vessels are positioning themselves in a classic engagement formation. This isn't a diplomatic approach. I understand your concerns, Commander, but we have our orders. Earth has maintained peace for a century. We won't be the ones to break it. 72 hours later, Vega stood in the smoldering ruins of what had once been Paris. The Keldorian Alliance, as they called themselves, had not come in peace. Their initial communication had been simple: surrender or be destroyed. When Earth's united government had attempted to negotiate, the Keldorians had demonstrated their power by vaporizing New Zealand. The death toll had been catastrophic. Earth's military forces had mobilized immediately, but they were hopelessly outmatched. The Keldorians possessed energy weapons that could pierce any shield, propulsion systems that defied known physics, and biological weapons that targeted human DNA specifically. Commander, a voice called out. Captain Zhen stumbled through the debris, his uniform torn and bloodied. The Western defense grid is down. London and Berlin have fallen. Vega's neural implant flickered erratically, struggling to process the flood of distress signals from around the globe. What about the orbital platforms? Zhen's expression said everything. Destroyed, the lunar base held out longest, but he couldn't finish the sentence. Admiral Haskins had died there, along with Earth's last coordinated defense force. The Security Council is preparing to surrender, Zhen continued, his voice hollow. They're broadcasting terms now. Vega's fist clenched. Oh, they can't. They must. The Keldorians are threatening biological weapons that could wipe out all human life. At least this way some will survive. The terms of surrender were brutal. Earth would become a resource colony. Humans would be relegated to designated zones. Any technology beyond basic survival needs would be confiscated. Resistance would be met with immediate execution. The occupation began immediately. Massive Keldorian ships hovered above major cities, their hulls gleaming with an iridescent blue-green that belied their deadly purpose. The aliens themselves were tall, graceful beings with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like liquid metal. Their beauty made their cruelty all the more disturbing. 6 months into the occupation, Vega led a small resistance cell operating from the ruins of the Rocky Mountains. Her implant, now modified to avoid Keldorian detection, helped coordinate the scattered human resistance groups worldwide. They're stripping the planet, Dr. Naveen Patel said, pointing to satellite imagery on their salvaged display screen. Mining operations in the Amazon basin, the African plains. They're extracting rare minerals at an unprecedented rate. Vega studied the images grimly, and the population centers. Naveen's face darkened. Worse, they're not just controlling us, they're experimenting on us. The medical facilities they've established aren't for human benefit. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Cora Fletcher, their best scout. Her face was flushed with excitement or fear, perhaps both. You need to see this, she said breathlessly, placing a small metallic object on the table. It was roughly cylindrical, covered in markings unlike any human or Keldorian script. Where did you find this? Vega asked, her implant scanning the object automatically. Beneath the old NORAD complex. There's more down there, a lot more, and it's not ours, Commander, it's not Keldorian either. Preliminary analysis suggested the artifact predated human civilization by thousands of years. Whatever species had left it on Earth had possessed technology far beyond anything humans had developed before the invasion. Within weeks, Vega's team had uncovered an entire facility hidden deep beneath the mountain. The neural interface in Vega's head reacted strangely to the alien technology, sometimes establishing unexpected connections. "It's responding to you specifically," Dr. Patel observed as they explored the facility. "Something about your neural pattern." The breakthrough came 3 months later. Dr. Patel had been working around the clock to decipher the alien technology, and Vega had spent countless hours connected to it through her implant. "I think I understand now," Naveen said, his eyes bright with discovery. "The beings who built this, I'm calling them the predecessors, they developed technology that could interface directly with consciousness. Not just control systems like our implants do, but actually manipulate matter and energy through focused thought." "Is it a weapon?" Vega asked, always the soldier. "It's everything, a tool, a weapon, a vessel, it's whatever you need it to be. But it requires a specific neural architecture to operate, 1 in a billion. And you, Commander, are compatible." The training was excruciating. Hour after hour, day after day, Vega learned to extend her consciousness through the alien interface. At first, she could only move small objects, create tiny fluctuations in energy fields, but as her mastery grew, so did her capabilities. "The Keldorians have technology beyond ours," she said during one strategy session, "but they didn't develop it themselves. They're scavengers conquering species and stealing their innovations. That's why they're here. Earth has resources, yes, but they're also looking for technology like what we found." The resistance grew stronger as Vega's abilities expanded. Small victories became possible, disrupting Keldorian communications, sabotaging their mining operations, freeing humans from labor camps. But Vega's vision was much larger. 2 years after the invasion, she stood before the assembled resistance leaders from around the globe. Many had traveled at great risk to this meeting. "We've been fighting to survive," she told them, her voice carrying the weight of authority. "Now it's time to fight to win." The plan was audacious. Using the predecessor technology, Vega had learned to interface with and control Keldorian systems. She could hijack their vessels, redirect their weapons, and even manipulate their biological functions. "They believe themselves invincible because they've never faced a species with this capability," she explained. "The predecessors must have been wiped out long ago, and the Keldorians never encountered their technology, until now. The resistance would need to coordinate globally, simultaneous strikes against Keldorian strongholds, while Vega led a team to infiltrate their main command ship in orbit." As the meeting concluded, Dr. Patel approached her privately. "You haven't told them everything," he said quietly. Vega's expression remained impassive. "They don't need to know. The neural strain could kill you, Vega. Every time you use the predecessor interface at this level, it damages your brain. One more major effort could be fatal. If it frees Earth, that's a price I'm willing to pay." As dawn broke over the Rockies, Vega looked out at the scarred landscape of her home planet. Tomorrow would begin the greatest gamble in human history. Her neural implant pulsed with power as she mentally rehearsed the assault plan one final time. The Keldorians had come to Earth expecting easy conquest. They would learn that taking a world was one thing, holding it against the fury of humanity was quite another. Especially when that fury was channeled through the power of a civilization far older and more advanced than either of them. Commander Vega Wright closed her eyes, feeling the predecessor technology humming through her consciousness. What the Keldorians had done to Earth was unforgivable. And her revenge would be unstoppable. Vengeance unleashed. The Keldorian command vessel, Sovereign Dominion, hung in Earth's orbit like a predatory creature, its massive hull gleaming in the sunlight. Inside, Supreme Commander Vexkoroth reviewed reports from the planetary occupation with satisfaction. Resistance had dwindled to isolated incidents, easily crushed by his troops. Soon, Earth would be fully pacified. Supreme Commander, his second, Zeltanis, approached with a formal bow. The extraction teams report 70% completion of the priority resources. The human labor units are performing adequately under increased quotas. Vexkoroth's skin rippled with pleasure, shifting from deep blue to a satisfied purple. "Excellent, and what of the anomalies?" Zeltanis hesitated. 17 outposts have reported equipment malfunctions in the past solar cycle. Diagnostic systems find no cause. Additionally, 3 security patrols failed to report in from the region humans call North America. Before Vexkoroth could respond, the ship's alarms blared. The command center's lights flickered, and for a moment the artificial gravity wavered. Status report, Vexkoroth demanded. Unknown Supreme Commander, our systems are, they're acting independently. Security protocols are being overridden. Vexkoroth felt something he hadn't experienced in decades, fear. Miles below, hidden in the remains of an abandoned subway tunnel beneath what was once Washington, D.C., Vega Wright lay in a modified stasis chamber. Her body was motionless, but her mind soared. Through the predecessor interface, her consciousness had penetrated the Keldorian command ship systems. Every circuit, every power conduit, every security protocol was now visible to her, like glowing pathways she could redirect at will. Dr. Patel monitored her vital signs with growing concern. Her neural activity was off the charts, and tiny blood vessels were rupturing throughout her brain. The team of resistance fighters surrounding her stasis chamber watched anxiously as they received communications from around the globe. "Mumbai is a go," reported Captain Darweshi. "Rio squad in position," came another voice. "Beijing team ready." Cora Fletcher, now Vega's second-in-command, nodded grimly. "Commence Operation Prometheus on my mark. 3, 2, 1, execute." Across the planet, resistance cells launched simultaneous attacks on Keldorian strongholds. But these weren't conventional assaults. They were precisely targeted strikes enabled by Vega's mental infiltration of Keldorian systems. In Shanghai, Keldorian security doors opened inexplicably, allowing resistance fighters to flood into the command center. In Cairo, alien weapons powered down at the critical moment, leaving confused Keldorian troops defenseless. In Sydney, the atmospheric modifiers the aliens had installed to make Earth more comfortable for their physiology suddenly reversed, leaving them gasping for breath. Aboard the Sovereign Dominion, chaos reigned. Systems activated and deactivated seemingly at random. Security bulkheads trapped Keldorian officers in their quarters. Life support systems began to selectively remove elements crucial to Keldorian biology. "It's impossible," Zeltanis shouted as another system fell to the invisible assault. "Our technology is being used against us." Vexkoroth's skin had turned ash-gray, the color of extreme distress. "This is not random malfunction, this is attack, but how? The humans lack the capability." The main communication screen activated without command, and every Keldorian on the bridge froze in shock. The image showed a human female, her eyes closed as if in sleep, neural implant glowing at her temple. "I am Commander Vega Wright of Earth," the image spoke, though the woman's lips didn't move. "You came to our world uninvited, you killed our people, you stripped our resources, you experimented on us like animals." Vexkoroth stepped forward. "Impossible, humans don't possess this technology." "We didn't," the image acknowledged. "But Earth holds secrets older than your civilization or mine. The predecessors left their legacy here, waiting for someone who could use it. That someone is me." As she spoke, the ship's engines fired, pushing the massive vessel out of its stable orbit. "What are you doing?" Vexkoroth demanded, genuine fear now evident in his voice. "Taking your command ship on a little trip," Vega's projection replied coldly, "to the Keldorian homeworld." In the underground chamber, Dr. Patel worked frantically to stabilize Vega's condition. "Her brain is hemorrhaging," he told Cora. "If she maintains this level of neural activity much longer, she'll die." "Can you pull her out?" Cora asked, her voice tight with concern. "Not without risking permanent brain damage. She's too deeply interfaced with the system." On the Sovereign Dominion, the Keldorians watched in horror as their own ship accelerated toward the jump point, the location where their faster-than-light drive could activate. Vexkoroth understood the humans' plan with sudden clarity. "She's going to use our ship as a weapon against the homeworld," he said, his voice hollow. The image of Vega smiled coldly. "Not quite, I need your world intact for now, what I'm delivering is information." Throughout the ship, information terminals activated, displaying data that made the Keldorian officers recoil in shock. "For generations, your leaders have told you that expansion was necessary for survival," Vega's voice explained. "That conquering other species was your right as the superior civilization. They lied." The screens showed evidence of massive resource hoarding by Keldorian elites, proof that their society's scarcity was manufactured to justify endless conquest. There were records of viable peace treaties rejected by Keldorian leadership, of flourishing worlds reduced to barren wastelands after Keldorian occupation. I'm broadcasting this to every Keldorian communication device on every world in your alliance, Vega continued. Your empire is built on lies, and those lies end today. As the ship approached the jump point, Vega's consciousness detected something unexpected, another vessel on an intercept course. Not Keldorian design, something else entirely. The unknown ship matched velocity with the Sovereign Dominion just before the jump point. A communication signal penetrated even the sophisticated jamming the Keldorians had activated in a desperate attempt to regain control. A face appeared on the screen, humanoid but clearly alien, with silver-white skin and eyes like liquid mercury. Commander Wright, the being said, its voice resonating with harmonic overtones. I am Ambassador Lirinal of the Narvine Collective. We have been monitoring your resistance. Your use of predecessor technology has caught our attention. In her stasis chamber, Vega felt her control of the Keldorian ship slipping as her brain continued to deteriorate. The Narvine, she managed to project. I've seen references in Keldorian files, another conquered species. Not conquered, Lirinal corrected. Hidden, we are the last free remnant of a civilization the Keldorians nearly destroyed a millennium ago. We've been gathering allies, waiting for the right moment to challenge Keldorian dominance. Your actions have created that moment. Across the Keldorian alliance, the truth Vega had unleashed was causing upheaval. Colonies were declaring independence. Subject species were rising up. Within the Keldorian hierarchy itself, younger officers were turning against the old guard. Your revenge has started a revolution, Commander, Lirinal said. But you can't complete it alone. Your neural patterns show critical deterioration. In the underground chamber, Vega's body convulsed. Blood trickled from her nose and ears. She's dying, Dr. Patel said, his voice breaking. The neural interface is burning out her brain. Through her fatting consciousness, Vega made a decision. Ambassador Lirinal, I accept your assistance for Earth. The Narvine vessel extended a beam of shimmering energy that enveloped the Sovereign Dominion. Vega felt her consciousness being gently disentangled from the Keldorian systems and supported by something else, a vast, complex network that felt ancient yet vibrant. The predecessor technology you discovered was only a fragment, Lirinal explained as their ships began moving in tandem toward the jump point. We've preserved much more. With it, we can heal you, and together, we can ensure the Keldorians never threaten another world. 3 months later, Vega stood on the observation deck of the Narvine diplomatic vessel Luminous Accord as it approached Earth orbit. Her neural implant had been replaced with something far more sophisticated, a predecessor interface that allowed her to connect with systems without the devastating physical toll of the prototype she'd used. Below, Earth was beginning to heal. With Keldorian dominance broken, their forces had retreated, focused on internal conflicts. The alliance with the Narvine and other former subject species had brought new technology and resources to help rebuild. Cora Fletcher, now Earth's representative to the newly formed coalition of free worlds, stood beside her. Hard to believe it's only been 3 months, she said, looking down at the blue-green planet. There's still so much damage, but we're free, Vega finished, and we're not alone anymore. The coalition had revealed a galaxy far more diverse and complex than humans had ever imagined. Dozens of species, many previously oppressed by the Keldorians, were now allies. Earth's unique adaptability and the human capacity for innovation were already proving valuable to the Alliance. The Narvine scientists have finished analyzing the predecessor site in the Rockies, Cora reported. They believe it was an outpost established to monitor early human development. They saw potential in us, apparently. Vega nodded, potential we're just beginning to realize. Reports from Coalition intelligence indicated that the Keldorian alliance was fragmenting. Without the unifying force of conquest and the lies that had sustained their hierarchy, their society was transforming. Some factions sought peaceful relations with the Coalition, while others clung desperately to old ways. We'll need to remain vigilant, Vega said, but the greatest threat has passed. As the ship entered orbit, a communication alert chimed. The holographic display activated, showing Admiral Terrence Wu, the newly appointed commander of Earth's defense forces. Commander Wright, he said formally, the Defense Council has completed its deliberations. In recognition of your extraordinary service and unique qualifications, we are offering you command of the predecessor initiative. Vega raised an eyebrow, the what's? A joint human-Narvine project, Wu explained. With their help, we're converting the remains of the Kaldorian mining operations into manufacturing facilities for a new fleet, ships that integrate predecessor technology with human innovation. A fleet for what purpose, Admiral? Vega asked, though she suspected the answer. Exploration primarily, the Coalition has shared star charts of regions even they haven't fully mapped, but also defense, Vega finished for him. The Kaldorians aren't the only predatory species out there. Wu nodded grimly. The Narvine have been forthright about other threats. We won't be caught unprepared again. After the communication ended, Vega remained at the viewport, watching Earth grow larger as they descended toward the newly established Coalition embassy in Geneva. Her neural interface hummed gently at her temple, connecting her to the ship's systems in a seamless integration of mind and machine. What the Kaldorians had done to Earth had indeed been unforgivable. Her revenge had been unstoppable. But revenge, she had learned, was only the beginning. The true challenge and the greater opportunity lay in what came after. Humanity was reaching for the stars again, not in conquest, but in cooperation with allies who respected their resilience and potential. The Kaldorians had sought to subjugate Earth and found instead the catalyst for their own transformation. As the ship began its final approach, Vega allowed herself a small smile. The future that awaited was not one she could have imagined in those dark days after the invasion. It was, against all odds, something brighter. Commander, a Narvine officer approached respectfully. We've received word that the Coalition Council has approved your proposal. The Earth Restoration Project will receive priority funding. Vega nodded her thanks. The work of healing her world would continue. And beyond that, the work of ensuring that what happened to Earth would never happen to another peaceful world, that would be her legacy. What began as vengeance had become something far more powerful, justice. Not just for Earth, but for all species who sought freedom among the stars.